Recently, a lot of people that I know and a lot of people that I follow have been hitting up Barb's Barbecue in Lockhart, Texas. And they've been taking pictures of their trays, and I've generally been seeing content around Barb's Barbecue for a while now. And one of the things that I keep noticing on the Barb's Barbecue trays is a smoked lamb chop. So that inspired me to pick up some lamb chops and smoke them. And this isn't me trying to replicate the Barb's Barbecue lamb chops because I have absolutely no idea how they cook them, but they have a really nice dark crust on them. So I'm going to try and cook them like that because they look really good. But otherwise, I'm just going to cook them in a way that I think will be good. So whilst I was in Costco this morning, I picked up some nice British lamb, little rack, French trimmed. And as usual, we're not going to do too much to these. Keep it really nice and simple. I've smoked racks of lamb plenty of times in the past, but I thought I'd give this a go, doing them with a bit of a Texas flair. Cook them on the offset, get a nice bark on the go if I can. I'm wondering whether or not to score the fat. I normally do, but I think it might inhibit the bark. We're not going to sear them over high heat. They are going to be smoked. So I don't know if I'll get enough fat rendered without. I'm going to score them. I'm using my Savanac Wilson's barbecue bone-in knife. There'll be a link below where you can get 30% off Savanac knives. I highly recommend them. And I hope I don't sacrifice the bark too much by doing this, but that's looking good, nicely scored up. And for the seasoning, we're going to keep it pretty simple, as I always do. Let's go in 2 parts black pepper, 1 part Diamond Crystal kosher salt, half a part-ish garlic, maybe just under half a part, and just a smidge of cumin. I like cumin with lamb. Finally ran out of the Hardcore Carnivore Tex-Mex rub. I need to get some more of that. So I'm going to get these very heavily seasoned up because I really do want to get a really nice heavy bark on there. And these aren't going to take too long because we want to take them to about a medium, maybe medium rare. So they're not going to be on the pit for long. So we're going to be relying on a heavy coating of seasoning and quite a bit of smoke. 2-part black pepper is going to help us out, hopefully. It's looking good. Looks like everything else I've ever seasoned up on this channel. So these racks of lamb look good. Let's fire up the Franklin pit. So I'm going to be running a pretty smoky fire on this, cooking at around maybe 150 for the first hour or so, making sure I get as much smoke color and as much smoke flavor onto these as possible. These aren't going to take long to get up to around 135, 140 Fahrenheit internal. So kind of like sausage, I'm trying to maximize the amount of time these are on the smoke before I need to pull them off because they've hit the internal temperature that I'm after. So nice and smoky, 150, 180, somewhere in that region. As much color and smoke flavor as I can. Come back in about an hour. Running with that small smoky fire, making sure these splits are together. My absolute favorite condiment when it comes to lamb is mint sauce. It's pretty much a staple here in the UK when it comes to lamb. So while those racks are smoking, we're gonna make up a mint sauce with a hint of chili. So I've got my little mint plant here and I'm gonna pick off pretty much all of the leaves because there's not a huge amount of mint on this plant, but I'm kind of aiming for a small handful and I don't know if I'll even get that from this plant. So quite a lot less mint than I'd hoped for. I'm going to squeeze it all together pretty fine. So we'll take our chopped mint. I'm going to go over the top of that with some just off the boil water. This is just going to wilt those leaves, cook them a little bit, bring out some of those flavors. And it's also going to take away some of that raw grassy flavor that you get with mint sometimes. So after a couple of minutes, I'm going to strain this through this little sieve. Then using the cold tap, I'm going to cool these down. Just run these under the tap a little bit. And then we're gonna go over the top with some white wine vinegar, a little pinch of salt, and then a healthy amount of sugar. Just set that to the side. And then I'm gonna take half a chili. I'm using red purely for the contrast in color. This is almost gonna be like a mint chimichurri. And there we've got some nice mint sauce. Definitely not a mint jelly or anything like that. This is more like a mint drizzle. As I say, it's more like a mint chimichurri.
I don't like brisket, I like pork belly.
You like pork belly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so this has been going on for about 2 hours now at around 150 to 175 Fahrenheit or somewhere in that region, and this doesn't have nearly as much color as I'd like. I was really hoping that these would look a lot darker. The fat is definitely starting to render, but I was hoping that they'd look nice and dark, nice and brown. After about this amount of time, they're temping at around 100 Fahrenheit, and we want to take these to a maximum of 135-ish. What we're going to do is keep smoking them. We're going to get some more color on them before we crank this heat up, before we pull them off. Right, so a couple of hours later, these are rocking an internal temperature around 105, 110, something like that. And they are not quite as dark as I'd like them to be. Darker than they are on camera, that's for sure. The fat cap is a lot more pillowy than it was when it went on. So I'm going to bump the temperatures up and get a heavy roast on these, render that fat cap, maybe get them a little bit darker, get them to the internal temperature that we want them to be. So I'm going to run at about 350 Fahrenheit, something like that, put a couple of extra splits of wood on and cook them to doneness. So after about 45 minutes or so of effectively roasting these in the offset, sorry about the light, we are around 130 Fahrenheit. So we're going to take these inside and let them rest up to around 135. Let's take them into the light and let's have a look. These are looking good. So these are maybe not quite as dark as I'd like, but I mean, they're darker than I thought they were going to be a few hours ago. Really nice fat render on there. It smells incredible. Really nice color on there, nice smoke flavor. I'm definitely happy that I diamond scored that fat as well. Really happy with that. Let's see how these come out. These are going to be some big old lamb chops as well. Oh yeah, really good cook on that. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Nice little fat render on there. Probably shows better here. Yeah, they're looking really good. Maybe I'll just cut one more. Oh man, that looks so good. Is this the way Barb's does it? I have no idea. Probably not. Rendery fat, perfectly cooked. Gonna have a bite. Oh my God. The crust from the pepper, the salt, the little bit of cumin is coming through, just. Those hot temperatures at the end, rendering that fat out, was key. Oh God. That is absolutely ridiculous. Maybe one more. Maybe see what this mint sauce chili's like. Oh, that's good. One of my favorite things to eat. Tell you what, got this fleur de sel from my friend Kevin. Does need a little bit of salt just on the eye of the meat. Really well seasoned on the outside, but could definitely benefit from a little bit of salt in the middle. Dip it in that mint chili sauce. Yeah, so I'm probably going to eat this whole rack. I've got another whole rack here too, which isn't going to hold particularly well until tomorrow, so... There is something about rendered lamb fat. Of all the fats, lamb fat for me is the best. You don't even need a lot of salt on it. Most fats taste better with a little bit of extra salt. And I'm not saying lamb fat doesn't taste better with extra salt, but you don't need a huge amount of salt on lamb fat for it to just taste good. You just render it really well and it's perfect. So that was super easy to do. Lamb's pretty robust in that you can smoke it real low and slow for a long time. You don't have to worry about kind of bacterial growth as much as you do with like poultry and things like that. So kind of like cold smoking a brisket or something. I smoked it real low and slow for a couple of hours until I got the color that I wanted. Definitely got a lot of smoke flavor. For the last 45 minutes or so, blasted it with some heavy heat just to render that fat cap. Took it to a temperature of 135 internal, let it rest, and yeah, it was good. Really good, really easy, really good. But salt, pepper, garlic, and a little bit of cumin worked really well. I'd definitely do that again and I'd definitely recommend it. You can kind of taste the cumin. It's kind of getting lost between the aromatic flavor of the lamb. Can't really pick out the cumin as such. The garlic's there, the pepper's there, the salt's there. 100% would recommend. So if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It really, really, really does help me out. I really appreciate it. And let me know if you try this recipe, if it inspires you at all. I really, really love to know when it does. And I'll see you next week for another video.